Both players here are seeded for our grand finals. So we've seen both of them play already on stream, but let's just recap their teams and their accomplishments.
Nicholas Morales is going to have that Rain team built around this very stable core of the Pelipper, Basque Legion, and our Chowlodon. A ton of synergy there to make sure that you're getting the special attack boost, thanks to something like Electroshot being charged right away, being in the Rain. You've got Swift Swim on Basque Legion that is going to make it one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, and you have a ton of other supportive options around that, like the Amoonguss, like the Incineroar, to make sure that your Chowlodon is staying around for a long time.
Yeah, the main things here, you've got the Dragon Pulse on our Chowlodon over Draco Meteor, which is on the standard version often of these compositions. You see the Basque Legion with the Water Terra Mystic Water rather than something like Choice Band, so flexibility in switching your moves. Incineroar here still has Flare Blitz despite it being a Rain team, so we saw how much impact that had in the semifinals as well. And then the Maushold, Grass Terra, Wide Lens Technician Population Bomb, but still with enough support with Follow Me, with the taunt here. This is a Pokemon that I would absolutely love to see in the finals because it can not only deal a lot of damage, but also synergizes really nicely with that Archaludon on the team.
Would be so cool to see if we could see just Body Press take KO after KO, but it's been amazing to see Nicholas Morales' journey throughout the Baltimore Regional Championships. This is his very first regional and his very first regional final. I think that is incredible to see for a player like Nicholas, and who knows if this is going to be kind of the next chapter in a story to see him take another regional championship title.
Yeah, I just love seeing this. The game is so difficult. There's so many amazing players these days, but there are still so many new players that come onto the scene and just dominate right away. So Nicholas, I'm sure he's feeling very happy, very proud, but I'm sure he can also taste the championship. You know, it doesn't feel real until you are sitting there in the finals recognizing I am just one opponent away from taking home the title.
But that opponent is going to be so, so tough because it is Paul Chua, 6-time regional champion, international champion just a couple of years ago, and this team has stumped so many tough opponents along the way.
The Alolan Ninetales, a Pokemon that makes Paul's team super unique and a team that will be impactful in this matchup without a doubt. You are up against a Rain team, Alolan Ninetales. You've got the Freeze Dry to hit Pelipper, Basque Legion, and Amoonguss for super effective damage. Encore, a move that we saw Paul use in the semifinals as well, really, really critically. Paul surrounds this team with just incredible offense. You've got the Dragonite, the Life Orb Garchomp, the Assault Vest Kingambit. Of course, Amoonguss and Incineroar here use this as support. Amoonguss on both teams so critically, being able to Pollen Puff to heal up its teammates.
Yeah, and maybe just that extra little bit of defense boost might help out this Alolan Ninetales too, as well as being able to just shut off the Rain entirely. I'm excited to see Alolan Ninetales potentially make an appearance in this match, but also, how do you deal with some of these big threats on Nicholas's team? I feel like Paul is almost a bit spoiled for choice when it comes down to what physical attacker he can lean into. I think the Dragonite's been so standout. You also have that Dragon typing to naturally resist a lot of these water type attacks, but you also have the Kingambit's Assault Vest, and I'm looking at something like the Archaludon. You might like to see that on the other side.
Archaludon, I think, really scary Pokemon to deal with here, right? So Paul can do a couple things, has, once again, so many accomplishments to his name.
They don't fit on this list.
Yeah, like this doesn't even cover all the regional titles he has, and yeah, even like the finalist run that he had at NAIC, you know, just back in 2017, I believe. But talking about the matchup here, I think Archaludon itself, such a scary Pokemon to deal with, especially because Paul's using so many physical attackers, and so Paul's going for regional title number 7. What do you do if you're Paul to deal with that Archaludon? Well, you've got some answers. First of all, if you force a Terra onto the Archaludon, it's Terra Grass, so then your Ninetales can hit it for super effective damage with Ice type attacks. Dragonite can Terra Blast into it as well. We're just gonna get right into the game, and it's gonna be Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Kingambit here gets the Defiant boost.
Oh boy, Kingambit would love to receive one of those. It's gonna be a +1 now, and it also is gonna be threatening a low kick into this Incineroar.
Yeah, so no Maushold in this one. There is the threat, of course, of Fake Out plus Spore immediately into the Kingambit slot. This is an Assault Vest Kingambit. It cannot protect right now, and so relatively safe to double into that, but if you're Paul, what you can do is just pivot the Kingambit out, of course, into the Incineroar and the Amoonguss. And so Nicholas decides, I'd rather just split my damage. However, this now puts him at risk of taking a ton of damage from this boosted Kingambit.
But because this Dragonite is multi-scale, it is going to get faked out on this turn, and it's also going to break the multi-scale thanks to that fake out damage.
Is there a flinch here? It's going to be Iron Head on turn 1. No flinch critically, so Spore does go off into Kingambit. That'll be put to sleep now. Like you said, Rosemary, able to intimidate and flinch the Dragonite and break the multi-skill. Now Amoonguss can switch out, and Archaludon, I think, is the key piece in this game, so Nicholas now going to bring it out onto the field.
I love that the Incineroar has this opportunity to be able to pivot as well. You've got the parting shot. You can also go on the offense here. We've seen just how much damage this Incineroar can do with Flare Blitz or Knockoff. Knowing that the rain is not present, there's really no way right now to stop this damage.
Absolutely. Kingambit still will be a threat, of course, once it wakes up. So the question is, can Nicholas knock it out before it manages to wake up? Dragonite goes for the protect here, so Paul's saying, you know what? I just want to burn Eternal Sleep here. And critically, we saw that the Incineroar targeted Dragonite. There was no Flare Blitz into the Kingambit, but our Chaladon has now hit the field. It threatens both of these Pokemon with super effective damage.
This Kingambit is that Dark Terra too, so even if it's going to be able to get rid of that Steel typing, it is still going to take that super effective damage. Taking its mandatory turn of sleep, so it has the potential to actually wake up on this turn, but neither of these Pokemon, the Dragonite nor the Kingambit, want to hit this Archaladon and start setting off stamina boosts.
Yeah, exactly. And you still have to face down all the offense from the opposing side as well. So it's just a low kick. No switches here, no Terras. So this is going to be a very super effective body press, but Kingambit bulky enough to survive. It doesn't wake up right now. We'll have to see after the parting shot.
Now the parting shot going to drop this Dragonite's attack again. So now it's going to be at -2 thanks to the parting shot plus the Intimidate at the very beginning of this game. And Nicholas gets a chance to bring in the Samungus again, or we can even see that there actually is a way to really start to get this engine on the Archaladon up and running. Amoonguss, though, going to be the Pokemon of choice for now.
Okay, and Kingambit stays asleep critically, so that's absolutely huge. It got the attack boost earlier, but now you'll just faint to another body press. Body press plus Spore, really safe into that slot. Covers for switch out options as well. Kingambit, of course, cannot go for a protect, right? Now, you could Spore into the Dragonite if you want to cover for a switch out option on that side, right? Dragonite's attack is now greatly decreased, and so a lot of different options right now on Nicholas's end. You could even go for a, say, switching into Pelipper and Electro Shot instead, but looks like Amoonguss is just content to switch out right now. So Paul's going to continue to stay in with this Pokemon.
May as well at this point, but now you're going to be at -3. And Kingambit gets a Defiant boost, but you're just one of the slowest things on the field. Even when you take a look at this Archaladon, you get a chance to knock it out with the body press, but we are going to see a Terra committed. And it should end up being that Dragonite that gets that Terra flying again and even be able to go for some damage here.
Terra flying, though, means that you are very vulnerable to Electro Shot in subsequent turns, right? So this Dragonite's damage output has been so greatly reduced. Kingambit does wake up, though, and it gets that Sucker Punch off. That is a ton of damage onto the Archaladon. That's the risk of switching an Incineroar. You don't have to care about speed when you have priorities. So critical wake up there to damage something that's so scary otherwise. Terra Blast, though, not going to do that much damage into Incineroar, and Body Press will finish off Kingambit.
But now Paul gets a chance to switch in something that's going to potentially finish the job here on the Archaladon. The Kingambit got even more than what it could have asked for out of those first couple of turns despite taking a nap.
Yeah, and Garchomp, the perfect Pokemon to bring out here. You apply pressure with that Earthquake, of course. So Incineroar here at least is able to go for a Fake Out this turn. I think one thing that a lot of players have been doing with Incineroar this tournament, and just with this Pokemon in general, is not going for Fake Out, just saying Fake Out's so obvious. And so yeah, even though Archaladon's at such low HP, still going to go for the Dragon Pulse here. If Amoonguss can somehow get a Pollen Puff onto Archaladon, that would be absolutely huge. You right now have to, of course, worry though about something like Dragon Claw plus Terra Blast into the Archaladon, or Stomping Tantrum into Terra Blast. Now, Dragonite's attack has been so greatly reduced that maybe that doesn't even get the knockout, but let's see.
I mean, this is going to be an Archaladon that has started to take some stamina boost, so it could actually get enough defenses online to withstand both of those attacks. Especially with the Terastallization here, you are going to remove your weakness to something like that Stomping Tantrum, but conversely, as you said, that Terra Blast now looking mighty juicy here. It is an Earthquake, though, so even before this Dragonite gets a chance to move, it's going to be giving over another stamina boost to this Archaladon.
Yeah, Archaladon is getting dangerously low, though. Hasn't gotten a ton of boost yet. There's Dragon Pulse. Doesn't knock out the Garchomp. It does just get the one-hit KO. So what's huge for Nicholas right now is that Paul is down to his final two Pokemon. You would think Ninetales is in the back, but if it's Ninetales, well, Pelipper can just switch in now, of course, and change the weather. Here's Terra Blast onto the Archaladon, and it does not get the knockout either.
That Archaladon is now just going to start running away with things. This Dragonite is slower. Maybe you're able to do something like an extreme speed, but even then, you can actually I don't know. This is tough. It's just the Ninetales.
Yeah, I think extreme speed plus freeze dry right now is pretty safe, and so if you're Nicholas, you can potentially counter that by obviously making some switches, right? The key thing here is Incineroar, I think, is really, really good in this endgame. Now, Terra was committed, but I think that was absolutely necessary to survive the turn. Looks like Nicholas here actually willing to just attack with both Pokemon, saying, I'm confident in winning the game with my Incineroar and my Pelipper. Amoonguss hangs on with 7 HP. He'll back up, but it will be eating, presumably, a Terra Blast. No switches, though.
No switches, but I mean, at this point as well, like, this poor Dragonite is still at -3, and because there's no more Pokemon left for Paul, there's no way to actually get rid of all of those drops. So Amoonguss does actually get felled here, but you bring Incineroar back in, Dragonite has to eat another Intimidate and a Fake Out.
Yeah, this is going to be really close, though, because the Ninetales has Freeze Dry, right? So you can just double up onto the Pelipper for a KO. Oh man, this is really intense. The damage output, obviously, of Flare Blitz is also going to be reduced because you've set up the rain, right? So this turn, you have Fake Out pressure. If you're Paul, you could theoretically double protect both Pokemon. I think Ninetales is actually the big threat right now, right? So you see the Fake Out target into that slot. Pelipper actually trying to just go for the safe Tailwind. No protect on either slot. And Fake Out does do really meaningful damage here. So Ninetales will protect. Pelipper will set up the Tailwind, but Dragonite free to just launch another attack, but its attack status drops so low right now.
It's at -4, but Terra Blast is still going to be able to do even just a little bit. Like, Incineroar almost goes down there, and at least puts it in range of being able to get knocked out in this next turn.
Yeah. Ninetales here now, of course, has Freeze Dry to bring Pelipper down to Focus Sash. I would think that it just knocks out the Incineroar, so one of the things I'm curious about is how fast is this Incineroar under Tailwind? Also, can Incineroar survive an extreme speed from the opposing side at this point? You need to knock out the Ninetales. The Ninetales exert so much pressure onto the Pelipper. If you somehow knock out the Ninetales and Pelipper hasn't taken damage, that's huge. Dragonite goes for the Protect this turn. We saw what Nicholas went for. The Weather Ball into the Protect.
That is huge, because that's going to be a Dragonite that sticks around, and this Freeze Dry to fire back. This Pelipper goes down to its Focus Sash, and that's just going to be extreme speed range now for at least the Pelipper, and it gets frozen in the process.
Yeah, I think this turn was just a guessing game, right? As we see knockoff double up into the Dragonite. What Nicholas was predicting was for the Ninetales to protect this turn. The idea is then let me just get damage into the Dragonite. But there was the opportunity, of course, to go for the Weather Ball. Now you can just extreme speed freeze dry and the game is just over.
Oh, extreme speed into the Pelipper. It is so sad to see that Pelipper frozen in place in the face of this powerful Dragonite and Ninetales, and the freeze dry. This Incineroar is also felled, and Paul Chua takes game #1 of this finals.
The King Gambit waking up was so critical, managing to get that Sucker Punch. It is risky to switch an Incineroar to keep giving Defiant boosts, and the Archaludon here was never able to heal back up from a Pollen Puff from Amoonguss. I think Archaludon is such a key piece in this finals match. You can't just let it take so much damage and not be able to heal back, right? So that's why I think Archaludon's really interesting. If you can like mitigate the damage output, even one stamina boost goes a really long way. But King Gambit able to get that damage necessary so that Archaludon just can't do very much and get that many attacks off. But this endgame's so close as well. I thought Nicholas maybe had the potential to switch some of his Pokemon the turn that he just ate the double knockout on the Amoonguss slot, but he probably thought, I think I can play this endgame with Pelipper. Pelipper is really strong, but Ninetales such a big threat with that freeze dry. Even when you don't have the snow up, still applies so much pressure.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be interesting to see how this second game goes, because I wonder maybe if there's a world where you're okay with the Ninetales coming in. Maybe you're able to use like an Ice-type Weather Ball against something like the Terra Flying Dragonite. I don't know, there's some mind games here.
Yeah, to me, I think Archaludon needs to just be protected better into this matchup. So Maushold Archaludon was a lead that I thought is really fascinating, but what you're probably worried about is something like an extreme speed plus Sucker Punch double up into the Maushold immediately just to KO it, because this is the offensive set. But I think Archaludon really just wants to get a couple of defense boosts before it soaks up that much damage, right? You're going into a team that's primarily physical as well, right? And so I think Archaludon basically just needs to be better protected. And here we are. We're just going to go right into game 2. Dragonite and Garchomp this time around. And Maushold has hit the field.
Ooh, the mouse hold on the field, and there's no redirection available. There is a rage powder for the Amoonguss that maybe could have been able to be a wrench in these plans, but mouse hold Archaludon, it is here, but it is under threat. There's two things on Paul's side that can hit it super effectively.
Do we just see the side population bomb get those defense boosts? Looks like Nicholas is going for it. This is so safe to go for right now. This will boost Archaludon's defense so quickly, and we are down. This is exactly what I wanted to see. It's risky going for this lead because you got to be scared about King Gambit Dragonite coming out once again, but Paul tries to adjust, and actually I think Nicholas gets the better end of this, and here we go. Self-population bomb, boom, #1.
Let's see how many times this population bomb can hit. That's going to be a second one, a second stamina boost, and let's see if we can keep them coming. There's #3.
You can hear the crowd cheer the number right now.
4.
Give me a 4. Do I have a 5? 5?
Come on,
Anyone
show
in the
us
crowd?
5. Let's see, can we make it a maximum? Let's go 6. There's the 6th stamina boost.
Okay, now miss.
Yeah,
miss.
now
we don't need any more. Okay, no.
That's too many now.
We're speeding things up a little bit,
okay,
you know, and each consecutive hit just does less damage once you hit that.
It's max hits there. It's gonna be 10 times. Mousehold, you got a little bit too good eyes on you right now.
How much does this do? Let's see. Oh, yeah, not very much.
So little with that +6 stamina boost here. And even with the Terra Blast, like, I think you're able to finish the job there on the Mousehold, but it goes into this Archaludon anyway. Such a sad amount of damage as the Dragon Pulse. We saw it's gonna finish off this Garchomp. Oh, but it doesn't actually this time around.
Okay, big
must have been a
survival.
roll, game 1.
Yeah, exactly. So big survival there. You do have the population bomb threat here, so of course, if you're Paul, you can extreme speed, finish off Mousehold, and Stomping Tantrum into the Archaludon, but then there's the free switch in into, say, the Amoonguss. So the Archaludon is boosted up now, but the question is, can you get a Pollen Puff onto it? I think that's really critical. Let's see how much this Earthquake does. It actually opts for Earthquake rather than Stomping, which would cover for a switch out. Decent damage, but that was 34 damage, and so Archaludon's still sitting just quite nicely. The Garchomp critically will faint, so that gives Paul Chua a free switch in. Here's the +6 body press, but it is into a multi-skill Dragonite. That does 20%?
Yeah, it's, think about the multi-scale now being removed. It would maybe do a little bit more, but as the Amoonguss comes back in, it's going to have the opportunity to redirect away attacks. It's got Rage Powder. There's also the Amoonguss on the other side, but because we haven't seen that Terra yet onto the Archaludon, how do you remove these boosts?
Oh, this is really interesting. So Amoonguss from Paul's end means that, yes, you can Grass Terra, and that'll make you immune to Spore, but Paul has the Clear Smog. If you get rid of your typing, you will be able to get hit by Clear Smog. Nicholas critically also did not bring the Pelipper into this matchup, so you can't just switch in Pelipper and go for the Electro Shot. His strategy in this game is fully centered around the Archaludon, which I think makes a lot of sense. But the question is, where do you go from here? Can't get put to sleep, but the upside is Paul at least doesn't have that much offensive pressure with this current duo.
Intimidate now onto the Dragonite, so you're not only contending with a +6 Archaludon, but you're also contending with a -1 Dragonite into the mix. But it goes for a Protect, so as Archaludon would have loved to be able to hit the body press into the Dragonite, it's not going to be able to do that. And this Amoonguss does get a chance to put this Archaludon to sleep, buying Paul very valuable time.
Yeah, that was a turn where Amoonguss could have stayed in and maybe gone for Pollen Puff, but of course Nicholas may be a little bit afraid of eating up the super effective Terra Blast from the opposing side, just wants to get an Intimidate off into Dragonite. So a big question now is, what is Paul's final Pokemon? Amoonguss is switching out. If this is a Alolan Ninetales, Blizzard will be very effective here. That is Ninetales hitting the field. That's exactly what you need if your Paul is your final Pokemon. Now we're down to a game of, does Archaludon wake up quickly enough? Terra Blast coming out, just slowly chipping away at the Archaludon. You just need every little bit of damage you can get, even if it's only 8 HP.
It's every little bit will start to stack up here as Archaludon takes its mandatory turn to sleep, but with the Flare Blitz into the Alolan Ninetales, it actually does get brought down to its sash. That defense boost not helping it out this time around.
Oh, that is a great Flare Blitz, certainly, because it prevents the Ninetales from, hanging on with a little bit more. This turn is so critical, the route, because you can just double up onto the Archaludon right now. You could go for a Freeze Dry. So yeah, do you ever consider just switching out the Archaludon? It feels so bad to get rid of those boosts. Incineroar, at least right now, does exert a lot of offensive pressure, but can Incineroar plus Amoonguss win the game? It's actually Blizzard instead of Freeze Dry, so I think Archaludon Archaladon will be able to survive the turn, and it wakes up. It's going to be the body press into the Dragonite. Still not enough to get the knockout, though.
Starting to whittle away at it as the low kick into the
Archaladon is
Archaladon.
so light. It's super effective, but that doesn't matter. Knockoff comes out and knocks out the Ninetales.
The Ninetales has tried so hard, but Paul in the second game is already down to this Dragonite and this Amoonguss and this Archaladon. It has still yet to be taken out of this game. Amoonguss is at full HP, so that definitely feels nice to have to bring in here, but you have this opportunity to just double into it with this Archaladon and Incineroar and take it out.
Oh, and the Dragonite protects. We know where Nicholas is targeting, so this, folks, I believe, will go to a game 3. +6 body press into Amoonguss. It's not doing that much damage, but that's okay. The whole point of this Archaladon is to survive the physical attacks. Flare Blitz knocks out the Amoonguss, and with 15 HP and a Dream, Archaladon will keep Nicholas's hopes of winning this tournament alive. The Mousehold Archaladon Gambit works in this one. I said 15 HP. It's a little bit less than that. It's 12, but it doesn't matter. Every little bit of HP matters on this Pokemon.
It really does. Even just in case you had the Terra Ghost to try to get around in extreme speed, but Nicholas has kept himself in this one. First time regional championship, and he's taken a game off of Paul Chua. One more, and he gets a chance to win his first regional ever.
The Mousehold was exactly what I wanted to see, and for Nicholas to do that down a game is so scary, right? Because you saw Paul's previous lead. The King Gambit Dragonite lead really scary because of the Sucker Punch plus the extreme speed pressure onto Mousehold immediately. But Garchomp Dragonite, a dream lead here, and Archaladon just soaked up so many attacks in this game. And so now the question is, do you go with Mousehold Archaladon once again if you're Nicholas? If you're Paul, do you adjust to try to beat that, right? Do you go back to the same lead that you went with in game 1? And Nicholas decided to gamble, say, you know what, this is technically a rain team, but I don't actually need Pelipper because Pelipper is so weak into your Ninetales. And I think that was a really smart decision to just fully enable Archaladon in that last match.
So how do you actually take it out, though? I mean, the low kick was so sad. We already talked about the weight of Archaladon, but even just thinking about how many physical attacks it actually takes to whittle this away, it's going to be tough for Paul to find a great way to just take the Archaladon out immediately.
Yeah, he went for that Blizzard. I was thinking, you know, like, Blizzard is spread, freeze dry, single target, but the reality is, like, you need to get the Archaladon chipped away a little bit more. I think one interesting tool is you have knockoff if you're Paul, right? So you can get rid of that Assault Vest. Then your Ninetales, of course, will deal considerably more damage. Archaladon doesn't have the strongest base special defense, and so I think that's one approach that Paul can take. The main thing is, do you just try to shut down the lead of Mousehold plus Archaladon? You could go with your own Amoonguss, right? Amoonguss, of course, this is not Safety Goggles Mousehold, so you can go for Follow Me or Rage Powder on Amoonguss to redirect those population bombs immediately. Now, Mousehold could Grass Terra to get around that, but if you Grass Terra, it means that the Archaladon can't Terra. Another approach is to go for the King Gambit Dragonite lead, Sucker Punch, Extreme Speed, like we were talking about earlier. I think that's another way that you can think about playing this one out. So yeah, then the question is, I think Nicholas is probably thinking, well, Paul's definitely going to counter for this lead, so maybe I don't lead it this time around.
That is certainly a possibility, but only one way to find out as we enter into this third and final game.
Again.
It's just a run back of this second game.
Ooh, okay, folks, let's see. Let's see. Paul might be thinking, you know what, that last game was so close. If I just got one better attack off into your Archaladon, I would have been fine. But I think, once again, this lead favors Nicholas. 1-1 right now. It all comes down to this game. It's Incineroar Amoonguss once again confirmed in the back. Ooh, okay.
Very interesting. Do you just go pop bomb something else?
Yeah, so the idea is, let me just try to pick up a knockout maybe onto the Dragonite immediately. Now, this is Rough Skin Garchomp, right? So you got to be a little bit careful here. But I think Nicholas here saying, well, I don't know, I just don't feel that great about taking all this damage once again with Archaladon. Why don't I just go on the offensive? You have 2 physical attackers out against me right now. So let's see. Archaladon switches out. This is going to be the Intimidate. So then the question is, does Dragonite go for a Protect right now, or does it just eat up Population Bomb?
Oh my goodness. Well, the Intimidate has to come out first before you get a chance to see whether or not this Dragonite does actually go for the Protect. And it's actually just a Terra. That's the Terra first to see if this Dragonite maybe is going to actually go out on the offensive here.
Yeah, can it take Population Bomb from Mousehold, though? I really would not expect it to, but let's see.
Well, the Mousehold is sometimes the little family that could, and it's going to be going after each of these hits.
Whoa.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Does it miss? 10 hits! What a start for Nicholas! He knocks out Paul Chua's Dragonite in one hit. Paul now no longer has Terra to play with and is down such a key piece in this matchup. Garchomp here will be able to get the Earthquake off. It's Life Orb, but it is intimidated. It's going to be a lot of damage, though, still coming out on both Pokemon. But what a start for Nicholas.
There's not many Pokemon that are faster than Maushold in this format right now, so it's very safe for you to be able to just keep wailing away at these Pokemon with this Maushold. You see the Ninetales come in, but there's an opportunity here to actually go for Fake Out, but Nicholas also has so many other options, knowing that this Archaludon is still safe in the back.
This game is not over by any means, though. Maushold will start this turn off with the Protect. Incineroar, of course, had the ability to click Fake Out. Does not go for a Fake Out. Fake Out Population Bomb here would have been an absolutely huge play, but of course, Nicholas expecting Paul to maybe just protect both of his Pokemon.
Oh.
Freeze comes out onto the Incineroar. Does that matter, though? Is it just a Dragon Claw stomping into that slot? It is. Incineroar will faint now.
Still a roller coaster of emotions, though, as we follow through the turns of this game number 3. So much has already happened, and it's only been a couple of turns.
All right, now you've got the Archaludon to come out. You could bring out Amoonguss. If you bring out the Amoonguss, you could, of course, go for a Spore, but Archaludon now has hit the field. Nicholas had such a strong start to this game, but it's not over yet.
There's still an opportunity to go for the Terra, and yes, you're making yourself a little bit more vulnerable, though, to this Ninetales. So I wonder if you still stay the course, make sure that you can actually utilize this Assault Vest. There's no Incineroar yet from Paul, so there's not actually a way to knock it off, this Assault Vest, but we do see a switch here from the Garchomp.
Okay, Amoonguss is a great Pokemon to switch into to take that Dragon Pulse. We saw what Maushold locked into. Here it is! Population Bomb number 1.
2.
Number 2.
3.
It's doing so much
4.
damage!
5.
This
Can it
family
do
of
it?
3, can it do it? Another one, another one! Give me 2 more! Oh my goodness!
This Maushold has taken 2 KOs by itself!
Maushold putting on a clinic right now. That's Dragon Pulse into the Amoonguss. That's so much damage. This Amoonguss does not have Protect. It does not have Rocky Helmet. Maushold that's outspeeding the entire team. It can just Population Bomb into the Amoonguss, Dragon Pulse into the Garchomp. You go for the Terra here, doubling up here just to cover for Population Bomb missing. Your accuracy is so high, 99% per hit with Population Bomb, and Nicholas Morales takes it. He does it. He beats Paul Chua, 6-time regional champion. This is his first tournament ever, and he wins it all.
Something about the family of Maushold as the friends you make along the way. Incredible stuff coming out from Nicholas Morales to not only beat one of the biggest champions in the game of Pokemon VGC, but to do it in his very first regional championship ever. What a show-stopping finals that we just had. Maushold is the biggest MVP I think I've ever seen in my life.
That was unbelievable. If you ever want to show someone why Maushold is good, just show them this set. From being able to boost Archaludon's defense to doing so much damage. Like I said, going into this match, I wanted to see it. It can put in so much work. It is still vulnerable to a couple of things, right? Amoonguss redirecting attacks away, Intimidate from Incineroar. But the gambit to go with it in this final game and just say, you know what? I'm just going to attack your Dragonite. It's so smart because when you have Maushold and Archaludon out on the field, the Archaludon draws so much pressure, right? You want to go for the defense boosts onto your Archaludon. Your opponent has to respect that. If you protect one Pokemon, well, you're not getting damage onto the board. But Maushold says, you know what? I can also just attack myself. I don't need my Archaludon to do it. And oh my goodness, 3 little mice, a dream accomplished.
Oh, so this is the cutest Pokemon we've seen and just the nastiest amount of damage coming out from it. That is incredible, though. I love this take that Nicholas has done for this team. Being able to go for this Maushold, doesn't need to have an Annihilate when you have a different type of Pokemon to actually enable it. And everyone's gonna have to be looking out for this cute little Maushold in the future. We all thought maybe, Flamigo, you know, Kingambit. It's actually Maushold that's the problem. It's
just so funny because when we started Scarlet and Violet VGC, Population Bomb Wide Lens, one of the strongest combinations that we had talked about. But then everyone's like, I'm just going to use Support Maushold, right? It's really nice with Annihilate and other Pokemon, and even Support Maushold on these rain compositions. But deciding to run Wide Lens Population Bomb is such a big deal because normally with the Support Maushold sets, Maushold kind of just stays there and is holding hands, you know.
Friend guard.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, okay, we're just going to support our best friends here. But this Mousehold was like, no, I want to do damage. It's time for me to take over the game. And that's what makes Nicholas's team so threatening. You've got our Chowdon and Basque Legion as 2 key pieces for damage output, but Mousehold turns into a 3rd one. And having that wide lens population bomb, such a nice tech specifically to deal with Paul's Dragonite with that multi-scale, because you can just break the multi-scale and then knock out Dragonite.
Someone call the exterminator. This Mousehold's gotta go. But congratulations to Nicholas Morales. When it rains, it pours, or sometimes when you just make enough mice, you can get the job done. And congratulations to all of our top 8 competitors here at the Baltimore Regional Championships.
Oh, wow. I mean, rain was definitely one of the most talked about archetypes coming into this tournament, but no one was talking about Population Bomb Mousehold, the missing piece that completes the story. Nicholas here had so many different techs as well, whether it be the Dragon Pulse over Draco Meteor in our Chowdon, the Mystic Water rather than Choice Band or Life Orb on Basque Legion, and it just plays out perfectly. What a run by Nicholas. This was truly one of the most phenomenal runs I've seen from a player in VGC history, and he just really felt like a seasoned veteran in every single one of those matches. That top 4 match against Dawei, of course, we saw him play against Lorenzo. He was able to win just with a couple of HP points as well. It was just unbelievable.
And making some really just heads-up calls in a lot of these games as well. I think it's just a testament to VGC can be for everyone. I hope this inspires some people at home to actually come here, play their very first regional. Maybe this could be you with some hard work and some great plays. You could be just like Nicholas.
Oh my goodness. I wonder if Paul thought about going back to Dragonite King Gambit and just saying, I can just extreme speed sucker punch you, you know? But the fear with Dragonite King Gambit is Mousehold could just protect on turn 1, and then the Archaldon can just body press or Dragon Pulse immediately, right? So unbelievable finals. This was one of the most exciting finals I can remember in a long time, and what a photo finish for the family of 3.
Everyone's going to be trying extra hard to get the family of 3 rather than the family of 4 in game. Enjoy the hunt for that one, everybody. That's a fun one. But what an amazing event that we've had so far. Paul just one step shy from being able to add another regional championship to his long list of accomplishments. I still do not think it's going to be much longer before we see Paul in this spot again, or even just taking another championship title.
Yeah, and it's tough. I think Nicholas has so much mastery with his team. His ability to switch between game modes that we've seen throughout this entire tournament. So flexible, willing to adapt on the fly, and even when he goes with the same mode, make different moves, right? That turn 1 of game 2 and game 3 were completely different from each other, going on the offensive rather than enabling the Archaldon. It shows how flexible Pokemon can be, and why a well-constructed team will allow you to keep bringing the same Pokemon over and over and over again, but give you multiple different options.
And this was a hard tournament to have to do that in as well. There were so many different Pokemon that you could have potentially faced, a lot of different archetypes that were viable, and to be able to have a game plan into all of those things is a very, very difficult task to have to face.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's funny because going into this game, I was thinking, well, Archaldon itself is just so darn good. And it was really darn good, right? It totally carried that second game. Game 3 here, the Mousehold demonstrating, hey, like I can actually do a lot of damage, right? If you look at Paul's team, King Gambit is basically the best answer into the Mousehold because you can just easily soak up the population bombs. Incineroar can at least intimidate it, and there's the threat of the Ghost Terra as well. But with Paul just leaning into this lead immediately of Dragonite, Garchomp, and having Ninetales in the back, and Amoonguss, there was no Incineroar, there was no King Gambit, so there was no better game for the Mousehold than this one because there was no threat of the Intimidate or the Amoonguss. But of course, Pokemon is such a difficult game. How do you know which Pokemon to bring? How do you know which Pokemon to drop, right?
Tough. Yeah, it's super, super tough, but there's only a couple players that'll be able to give us those answers, and that is our finalists. We're gonna go ahead and throw over to Dwee for the award ceremony of the 2025 Baltimore Regional Championships.
Thank you so much, Rosemary and Aaron. I am here on the stage. It's been a wild 2 days of battles, but we are down to our finalists and our champion. Let's give it up for all the players who participated here today in Baltimore. For everybody that participated here this weekend, let's get started with the ceremony, yeah? And now introducing your 2025 Baltimore Regional finalist, Paul Chua. Paul, that was a very exciting battle. Can you tell us a little bit about that Alola Ninetales and that Dragonite that had us so fascinated backstage that you used this weekend?
Yeah, so Alola Ninetales, I had Primarina before, But I put Alolan Ninetales because I struggled against our Calyodon Rain, so I thought I'd be able to do stuff like on-core Electric Shot, and the important stuff is like changing the weather. Lumberry, Dragonite, I just didn't like Sneasler, so you know, Lumberry just cures any status it gets. So.
Thank you so much, Paul. You know, going into this, you were the finals here in the first regional. Are we going to see more of you later this season?
Yeah, you're gonna see more of me. I mean, maybe if I won, probably not. But since, yeah, there's probably more events around. All good.
Well, I'm super excited to see your future teams at future tournaments. I'm going to go ahead and let you go celebrate with your friends. Thank you so much. Give it up, everybody, for Paul. And now, your regional champion, the 2025 Baltimore regional champion, Nicholas Morales. Nicholas, first things first, congratulations on this win. This is your first regional. I'm going to ask you anyways, how are you feeling?
Doesn't feel real, I'm not going to lie. Kind of still like shaky from that game too.
This is your first regional championship. You are our first Worlds qualifier. Are you excited for the World Championships?
Yeah, I was actually planning on going to Worlds as a spectator, but if I can compete, that sounds amazing.
Well, guess what? You're competing. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit about your thought process going into the matchup versus Paul?
Well, at first, I wanted to test out to see how Rain did, see if he maybe sacked Ninetales a little early, and he just didn't end up doing that, so I went with my the B plan, which was the mouse ult kind of stuff. I just didn't know if I wanted to self-hit my Arch first or hit his D-Knight first. In the end, I thought that he might overcommit the second time, so I went ahead and hit my Arch the first time.
The crowd was popping off for the population bombs. I mean, at what point did you realize, hey, this is my chance to be able to go for these population bombs and pick up such huge knockouts?
Population bomb's pretty hype. I heard them counting down. I thought it was really funny. So I went for the kill on the D-Knight because I figured his D-Knight was really slow and was bulky, but he didn't look like he had too much bulk from how much the body press was doing. And I knew I had killed the Ninetales Alola too.
Thank you so much for that insight. Nicholas, do you have anybody out in the audience right now that's rooting for you? Where are they?
Right there. You got Calvin, you got Chase. I forgot your name, I'm sorry. Shy, you got Cheesy. And we got Marcus at home, and Dylan, who I believe also had went at home as well.
This is your first ever regional championship in attendance. Again, do you have any tips or advice for any trainers out there that are watching along that might want to come to a regional championship for the first time?
Well, like I said, I think just going with friends makes the experience much more enjoyable. You know, they'll push you to do better, you'll push them to do better, and you know, you kind of have like that hype man group. And once you start doing well, and you got like a bunch of hype men behind you, it's like a never-ending snowball.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. I'm gonna go ahead and let you celebrate with your friends, your family. That's it for us here in the Baltimore Regional Championships. But don't worry, Gabby is in the lounge right now to help wrap up everything that's happened here.